Blood trickled down 8-year-old Emma's face as she clutched her younger brother's hand. Both children huddled beneath the restaurant table where they thought no one could hear them. "Mom, are we bad people?" Emma whispered, her voice breaking as she wiped away tears with her free hand. "Is that why we can't have a home anymore?" The question hung in the air, slicing through the ambient chatter of the upscale restaurant where they'd snuck in to escape the freezing rain, unaware that at the next table, billionaire tech CEO Marcus Harrington had just frozen mid-bite, his fork suspended in air as the children's desperate conversation penetrated his carefully constructed world. Marcus had lost his own family in a car accident 5 years ago, a wound that had never healed despite all his wealth. Now, hearing these children hiding beneath a table at his favorite restaurant, discussing whether their homelessness was some kind of punishment, he felt something crack inside him. The stakes couldn't be higher. 2 innocent children facing another night on the streets, their hope fading with each passing hour while he sat enjoying a $200 meal alone. What had happened to this family? And why did the little girl's voice sound so hauntingly familiar to his own daughter's? Emma pulled her thin jacket tighter around her shoulders, trying to shield her brother from the draft coming through the restaurant's back door. She touched the small cut on her forehead, a reminder of the man who had chased them away from their usual sleeping spot under the bridge. Their mother had gone to apply for a job 2 hours ago, promising to return quickly, but Emma was starting to worry. She always worried now. 3 months ago, they'd had a home, school friends, and warm beds. Now they had nothing but each other and a backpack of belongings. "We're not bad people," she whispered to her 5-year-old brother Michael, whose eyes were wide with fear and confusion. "Mom says we're just having a rough patch." Marcus couldn't focus on his meal anymore. He discreetly peered under the tablecloth and saw the girl with a small cut on her forehead, wearing a once nice blue jacket now frayed at the edges, and the boy in a small green sweater with a cartoon character Marcus didn't recognize. Both had the exhausted, vigilant look he'd seen in war zones during his charity work. He made a decision then, one that would change multiple lives forever. Signaling to his assistant across the room, he typed a quick message. "Find out everything about the homeless family connected to these kids. And call Sarah at the foundation. We need emergency housing tonight." As Marcus formulated his plan, the restaurant's manager approached the children's table, his face stern. "You can't be in here without paying customers," he said loudly, bending down to look under the table. Emma clutched her brother tighter, terror washing over her face. This was it, they'd be thrown back into the rain, and Mom wouldn't know where to find them. Just as the manager reached toward them, a commanding voice cut through the restaurant. "They're with me," Marcus said, standing up. The entire restaurant seemed to pause, recognizing the famous tech billionaire. "There's been a misunderstanding. Please add their meals to my bill." The manager straightened immediately, apologizing profusely. Marcus knelt down, meeting Emma's suspicious gaze. "My name is Marcus. Would you and your brother like something to eat while we wait for your mom?" The children exchanged glances, hunger winning over caution. Little did they know that across town, their mother was being arrested for trespassing simply for falling asleep in a department store while waiting for her job interview. The children reluctantly joined Marcus at his table, where he carefully avoided overwhelming them with questions. Instead, he listened as Emma gradually revealed pieces of their story between bites of the first hot meal they'd had in days. Their father had died unexpectedly, medical bills had consumed their savings, and then came the eviction. "Mom cries at night when she thinks we're asleep," Emma confided, breaking Marcus's heart all over again. Just as he was about to offer help, his phone buzzed with an urgent message. The information his team had uncovered about the children's mother stopped his heart cold, and suddenly, the mysterious connection he felt made perfect sense. Their mother, Olivia Parker, had once worked for Marcus's company years ago, before he'd become a household name. In fact, she had been instrumental in developing the early algorithm that had made his fortune. She'd left the company before its success, and he'd never been able to locate her to share the rewards. The universe had just handed him a chance to right a terrible wrong, but would these children and their mother accept help from a stranger? And what would happen when they discovered the truth about their connection? As Marcus grappled with this revelation, the restaurant door flew open, and a frantic woman rushed in, her clothes damp from the rain. "Emma, Michael," she called, her voice tight with panic. The children leapt from their chairs, running toward her with cries of relief. Marcus stood slowly, recognition dawning as he came face to face with Olivia, thinner, older, but unmistakably the brilliant programmer who had once worked alongside him day and night to build what would become his empire. Their eyes met over the children's heads, and Olivia's expression shifted from relief to shock. "Marcus," she whispered, instinctively pulling her children closer. "What are you doing with my children?" The suspicion in her voice was clear, and Marcus realized how this must look a wealthy man with her vulnerable children. Before he could explain, a police officer appeared at the door, pointing toward Olivia. "That's her," he said to another officer, the woman from the department store. Emma's grip on her mother tightened as she looked up in confusion. "Mom, what's happening?" The restaurant had gone completely silent, all eyes on the unfolding drama. In that moment, Marcus made a split-second decision that would alter the trajectory of all their lives. Stepping forward, he addressed the officers with the confidence that had built a billion-dollar company. "There's been a misunderstanding. MS Parker is my business associate, and I can vouch for her whereabouts." The authority in his voice made the officers hesitate. "If there's an issue with the store, I'm happy to speak with the manager personally." As the officers conferred, Marcus turned to Olivia, whose face showed a complex mixture of gratitude and wariness. "We need to talk," he said quietly, "about the past and about what happens next." Hours later, in Marcus's penthouse overlooking the city, the truth emerged in layers. How Olivia had left the company when pregnant with Emma, never knowing her code would become the foundation of Marcus's success. How Marcus had searched for her to share the wealth, but couldn't find her after she'd changed her name following her husband's death. How a series of misfortunes had left this brilliant woman and her children homeless, while the company she helped create generated billions. As the children slept in a guest room, the first real bed they'd had in months, Marcus and Olivia sat across from each other, the weight of their shared past and possible future hanging between them. "I don't want charity," Olivia said firmly, though her hands trembled around the mug of tea she held. "I never did." Marcus leaned forward, his eyes intense. "This isn't charity, Olivia, it's justice. Your algorithm was the foundation of everything. You deserve not just a job, but partnership, ownership." He slid a document across the table, a contract naming her as retroactive co-founder, with stock options that would make her wealthy beyond imagination. "Your children asked if they were bad people because they're homeless. Help me show them that sometimes the world can be fair after all." Tears filled Olivia's eyes as she stared at the contract, the culmination of work she'd done a lifetime ago. "I never told them about my work with you," she whispered. It hurt too much to remember what might have been. Marcus reached across the table, not quite touching her hand. "Then let's show them what can still be, not just for them, but for others like them." The connection between them, once professional, now felt like something more, a shared purpose, and perhaps, eventually, something deeper. 6 months later, Emma stood on a stage beside her mother, her brother, and Marcus, cutting the ribbon on the first of 50 emergency family housing centers. Their new foundation was opening across the country. The cut on her forehead had long since healed, but she still remembered that night in the restaurant when everything changed. No child should ever wonder if they're a bad person because they don't have a home, she said into the microphone, her voice strong and clear. The crowd applauded as cameras flashed, capturing the moment when a chance encounter transformed not just one family's life, but potentially thousands. behind the scenes, something else had blossomed too. The late nights Olivia and Marcus spent planning the foundation had gradually revealed a connection neither expected to find again. Olivia, who had closed her heart after her husband's death, and Marcus, who had buried his grief in work. Their shared passion for helping others had slowly grown into something more personal. Something that made Emma and Michael exchange knowing glances when they caught the adults laughing together in the kitchen, or talking in low voices long after the children should have been asleep. Today, as Emma watches her mother and Marcus working side by side to change the world, she no longer wonders if they're bad people. She knows they're exactly where they're meant to be, creating a family forged not by blood but by compassion, purpose, and second chances. If this story touched your heart and reminded you that hope can appear in the most unexpected moments, share it with someone who might need to hear that message today. Because sometimes, the questions whispered in our darkest moments lead us to the light we never knew was possible.